Hey, folks, today is March 10th, Tuesday, March 10th, 2020. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered. It is primary day in 6 states, including Mississippi and Michigan. Could Bernie Sanders and his campaign really be in trouble after tonight? We'll break it down. Speaking of Senator Bernie Sanders, they're doing their best to reboot their campaign and reaching out to black voters. Is it too little, too late? We'll also talk to a writer with Politico, Christopher Towler, on why the presidential candidate is still struggling to win the black vote. Joe Biden, he got tough with a white guy today, an auto worker, cussed him out over the Second Amendment. I had no problem with it. No issues whatsoever. Also, New York City calls in the National Guard over the coronavirus fears, and up to 70 people impacted in Massachusetts. Remember Donald Trump told us this thing was subsiding? Remember Larry Kudlow told us it was under control? So why is it spreading all across the country? Is why Donald Trump also now touting we need to build a wall with Mexico when there are nearly 800 cases in the United States and there are just 5 in Mexico? It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, yeah. Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin!
All right, folks, it is primary day in 6 states across the country. Of course, a week ago was Super Tuesday, which saw Joe Biden take a huge lead against Senator Bernie Sanders. Many people thought Bernie Sanders was going to run away with the nomination. That did not happen, all fueled by black voters. Today, voters in 6 states, including Mississippi, are headed to the polls. What is going to happen? Joining us right now on my far right is Mario King, is the mayor of Moss Point, Mississippi. Kelly Bethea, she's a communication strategist, and Melik Abdul, Republican strategist. Mayor Mario, I'm going to start with you. It's very interesting. Hillary Clinton won Mississippi, 83-16 in 2016. Bernie Sanders was supposed to do a huge speech in Jackson, Mississippi. He called it off. Instead, he chose to focus on Michigan. Could we see a repeat in 2020 where Bernie Sanders is crushed in Mississippi?
I absolutely think so. Just a week ago, Joe Biden visited one of our HBCUs, Tougaloo College, shout out to them, and he did it with Vivica Fox, and they made headlines all through the state. They was all on social media, and just remember, Barack Obama is our person, you know, and Mississippi has the largest amount of black elected officials per capita, and those people like me are saying, hey, go out there and support Biden. You know, we love him. We think he's great. He's actually invested in our community. We feel that he's came there, he's been there, and we don't expect him to be on the ground knocking doors, but to come to our city and come to a HBCU and actually bring a diverse crowd there and talk about what he wants to do for our country was impactful. So I definitely think that you're going to see a repeat. I'm really excited about it, and I'm feeling good about this election.
Kelly, when you look at this election and how, I'm still trying to understand how the Sanders camp could not have anticipated this was going to take place. That was a weakness of him in 2016. It's a weakness in 2020. Now, all of a sudden, and we'll talk about it a little bit as well, where they're talking about this need to reboot. Okay, it's March 10th. To say you need to do a reboot to attract black voters, that's a problem. In fact, just to understand, we tried to get a black surrogate for Sanders on today's show. They couldn't offer one. And I'm going, wait a minute. There are a number of people. You couldn't get one?
Yeah, that's troubling to me, considering that there has been no Democratic nominee who has won the nomination for the Democratic Party in over 30 years without the black vote. So in essence, what you're saying is, without us, you are not getting elected, period. And the fact that Bernie Sanders' camp knows this, but still seems like they're doing nothing about it, or at the very least, they're doing something about it way too late in the game. That's concerning to me. And they shouldn't be surprised when Biden sweeps again, like he did in Super Tuesday, because they dropped the ball.
Melik, when you look at what is happening here again with these 6 states that are voting today, Senator Sanders has to, frankly, blow Biden out. Democrats have, of course, a proportional delegation. You have to get at least 15% of the statewide vote, and then you look at congressional districts when it comes to delegates. The Sanders team was feeling real good after Nevada. They thought they were going to have an insurmountable lead after Super Tuesday. They thought that he was going to crush Biden in California. Now, let's be clear, more than 3 million votes in California still must be counted. But when you start looking at margins, there are very few places where Sanders blew out Biden. There are a number of places where Biden blew out Sanders. Yeah. We look at, after tonight's results, if we see him blowing them out in Mississippi, if we see Biden, and the latest poll showing him up 8 to 10 points in Michigan, the Detroit Free Press dropped the poll yesterday, had Biden up 24 points in Michigan. If Biden blows out Sanders tonight in several states, and Sanders doesn't blow him out, Biden's lead increases. Makes it even more difficult for Sanders to have any shot at the nomination.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say congratulations again on the new set. It looks awesome. Biden is going to blow Bernie out. That's what he's going to do. And especially, in Mississippi, he wasn't just at Tougaloo College. He was at a New Hope Baptist Church, which is not far from where I grew up. So Biden is doing exactly what he needs to do. What we've seen is that, and you talked about it before, people were talking about all of the momentum Bernie had before there was even a vote cast. And then they based it on what was happening in Iowa, New Hampshire, and Nevada. Well, we saw what happened when he got to South Carolina. Things totally changed, and it almost overnight. It was a combination of Clyburn's endorsement and really blacks, I think, just coming home, feeling comfortable with the fact that Joe is actually our guy. Biden is going to blow Sanders out. I think that he's going to win Michigan decisively. And at this point, Sanders should just he's not going to, but Sanders should just give it up after.
Well, one of the issues that I continue to have is there's these people who support Bernie Sanders who somehow have created this notion that black people don't really know what they're doing, that we haven't got enough information, that we're not quite sure where Sanders stands on these issues. Bernie Sanders has been running for 4 years. So this idea that black people still are quite unsure and we're just so much more comfortable with Joe Biden. No, I think black voters are making decisions. And that is, okay, him, to beat him. I'm going with him. I mean, frankly, it's insulting to keep insisting that black voters have not done any of this.
Yeah.
I'm thankful that you said that. People act like black people don't have the capacity to make informed and intentional decisions. This is what's happening. We're making informed and intentional decisions, which is something we do all the time. We deserve to be respected. See, the problem is people haven't respected our community in a long time. And so when we demand that respect in the professional and classy way by exercising our right to vote, people start then saying, well, the black community, like you said before, what about the white community? They always talk about black voters, and acting like we don't have the capacity to actually do these things, but then we don't hear anything about any of the others. But what I can say is that black people are speaking loudly, and we choose Biden. And if they have I feel like when we think about Bernie Sanders, I think that the intentionalism of our decision is, number one, is that who is the best candidate to beat what's already there. Number two is who's going to do the most for the black community, who's the most informed, and then who's the most culturally aware. And I think that Biden is that person.
Look, I'm sitting here, and let me just go ahead and say it. I got no problem calling some people out. So I'm sitting here looking on some of these idiotic comments right now on YouTube. And somebody, Honey, Ohana, Tanae, blacks are not making informed decisions, but we are the win factor. So what? We're just a bunch of uninformed people. So the black people in South Carolina are uninformed. And North Carolina, and Texas, and Arkansas, and Massachusetts.
In Alabama.
The white folks in Maine. The white folks in Minnesota. The black people in Alabama. So basically, all of those black people are grossly uninformed. Okay, gotcha. Let me also, let's see, big BG fella here, Roland, pry lips from Biden's ass. It's called stating fact. I mean, first of all, we're covering this whole deal. Now, see, here's what I found to be interesting. Those of you who support Senator Bernie Sanders, isn't it amazing that after Nevada, when everyone was saying he is the absolute front runner, and when media was saying that Biden was going to get crushed by Sanders on Super Tuesday, none of y'all were complaining about the media. But now that you're behind, you're complaining about the media. One whose ass you're kissing. Let's see here. Let me go here. Why is Biden your guy, Roland? Sure looks like it from abroad. Biden's not my guy. I'm covering the race. Facts don't lie. There's a reason why, just so y'all understand, the people who are sitting here talking about why Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar dropped out. It's not hard, y'all. Buttigieg got 2%. He was polling 2% among black people. Klobuchar was polling 0.5% among black people. They were looking at a serious ass killing on Super Tuesday. That's why they dropped out. Okay, you want to maintain some dignity. What you don't want is to get crushed across the board. Then you have absolutely no leverage in the party, Kelly. And again, this is what still was amazing to me, though. Well, for the Sanders people, guys, you had 4 years to figure black people out. 4 years.
By yourself.
4 years. One CBC member has endorsed Sanders.
Yeah.
Okay? If I'm Sanders and I know I'm running in 2020, I'm probably trying to figure out what kind of relationships I can have with the CBC and other entities in terms of looking forward to 2020. Kelly, he didn't.
Not only did he not do that, I feel like he took black votes for granted anyway and tried to lump our issues with economic policy. So black people don't have enough jobs, black people don't have enough money, black people don't have housing in the same way that white people do. And it seems to me that they figured out that the reason behind that is simply economic policy, as opposed to there's a reason why blacks don't have home ownership. There's a reason why blacks are still, way below on the wage gap and stuff. And it has nothing to do with just economic policy. It has to do with the racism in this country. Thankfully, the Biden campaign understands that, and they're actually addressing it from that angle as well as economic policy, such that we actually feel like we're heard. And the Sanders campaign hasn't done that yet, and they haven't done it in 4 years. They didn't even do it in 2016. And it's just really frustrating for you to think that you can just, copy paste what you did in 2016 for 2020, as if we, black voters, did not also do our research on you.
And the thing, first of all, there was a piece that was in Politico, folks, that talked about Sanders' inability to win over African-American voters, especially those middle-aged or actually older. And that's one of the things that you're seeing. And so joining us right now is Christopher Toller. He is one of the folks who wrote that particular piece. And so I want to bring him in right now. Christopher, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? So
you hear the conversation that we were having, and when I read today's article, on the Sanders campaign talking about their sort of reboot, again, reading that article, they were stating things in that article that should have been stated in August of 2019, not March of 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. I think from and the work that we did, we really took a look at how different messages appealed to the African American community. And from what we saw, the messages around Trump as an economic threat were not sufficient to actually drive black voters into politics and to make them enthusiastic about 2020 politics. It was really only a message that involved specifically addressing the racism, the threat to racial progress that Trump represented, that actually had any effect at all.
First of all, you're a university professor. Y'all did this study. What did the study say specifically in terms of about black voters and Sanders?
So far, of the studies are really just public opinion polls and polls that try and use a subsection of a larger sample to understand Black public opinion. And it's really a poor way of doing things because you only end up really 1 to 200, maybe at most 400 Black respondents trying to make some broad generalizations. And so studies have shown that Sanders has drawn more enthusiasm from younger cohorts.
We're having some issues with Christopher's audio. Are we back? We're having some problems with his audio, so let's actually fix that, and then we'll go back to Christopher in just 1 second. Melik, again, if you're running for the Democratic nomination for president, if you can't figure out how to get Black votes, you have absolutely no shot at the nomination. I think what you had here was, and I think one of the reasons why was Sanders pulling out of Mississippi. First, he should have gave the speech in Mississippi.
Yes.
Okay, because here's the deal. For the Democrat nomination, it's math. You can't let somebody blow you out.
Right.
Okay, so let's say Biden wins Mississippi 70-30 or 65-35. That's better than 83-16 when Hillary beat him. But when you make no effort, okay, first of all, the mayor of Jackson, Mississippi, Choko Lumumba, chose to endorse Sanders after there was a survey of voters in Jackson. Yeah. He was following the will of the people. So to cancel the speech, no, you give the speech, you do the event, then you fly to Michigan.
Yeah.
Now the problem he's facing is he's going to lose Mississippi big time, and looking at the current polling, he's going to lose in Michigan. So you actually made it worse for you.
Yeah. So the Black population of Vermont is on par with, I think, Utah, maybe about 1.4, 1.6%. So there's an assumption that somehow Bernie Sanders can speak to our issues. And like Kelly said, what Bernie Sanders has done, if you hear him, if you watch him in a debate, and he's talking about racism or equal, criminal justice and things like that, he lumps them under well, if you're concerned about climate change, that is an issue that concerns Black Americans. He does this sort of dance where he doesn't speak directly to Black people because he doesn't have experience actually doing that. And for him not to prepare himself, he knew in 2016, I'm going to run again. So you take an analysis of where your fault lines were, where your negatives were, and you build upon that. Well, Bernie Sanders decided not to do anything but the same thing, which was climate change. Sure, I, as someone, if the federal government decides to forgive all student loans, I'm absolutely for it. But that's not one of the driving issues if you're talking about the Black community. And that tone deafness is a serious blind spot for Bernie Sanders that's not going to serve him well after tonight, because I think it's done.
And of course, the endorsement of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. It came late. The reality is it just came on Sunday. The Bernie campaign, of course, they have been trying to really drive that home. But I think, again, this is one of those things that you have to look at the map. The map is just very simple. Okay? He experienced it in 16. You cannot get crushed in the South and think that you're going to pick up momentum, because also when you start breaking down delegates, okay, delegates are based upon size of states. Right. The states where Bernie says I can compete, which are largely white states, they're small. Okay, he lost Maine to Joe Biden. Okay, ain't that many people watching my show in Maine? And so, and this is the thing that, as somebody who covers politics, you got to start breaking this thing down. Sanders, who says, and then I had somebody say, in fact, Reverend Jackson was on yesterday. He said, well, Biden didn't win white voters in Iowa and New Hampshire. But he doesn't need to. Sure doesn't. Here's why. No Democrat has gotten more than 39% of the white vote since 1964. Okay? This idea that Joe Biden was going to somehow get 40+% of white people, that was nuts. Sanders was not going to get 40+% of white people. That's nuts. Because no Democrat. Bill Clinton didn't get more than 39% of the white vote. So if you're running, you actually aren't going to get a lion's share of the white vote. You must put together a broad coalition of Black, Latino, Asian, Native American, white, women, gay, evangelical, and look at the martyrs. That's how you actually win. And that's the piece I think they're missing. And just like I keep saying, Sanders people keep saying he could turn out young people.
When?
Has it happened? And I'm like, y'all, if you want to have a discussion with me on this, let's have a real discussion about the numbers. You have not seen a dramatic increase in young voters, so you can't tell me, oh, yeah, they're not coming right now in March, but I'm going to get them in November.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, just to be honest, these campaigns, when they run these campaigns, a lot of these people are not culturally aware, culturally competent. Let me tell you what I see in the Joe Biden campaign. I've seen leaders, I've seen him take city managers, people that are culturally aware, grassroots people from Mississippi, and hired them on his campaign. I've seen him bring in white women, black women, Latino women coming out and speaking for his campaign. Every conference I've been to as a mayor, I've been to every large conference in this country. Joe Biden has a program video with his logo in the beginning and at the end. Every other candidate, it's the next day. We at the National League of Cities conference right now. Joe Biden had the first, nicest, well put together. He knows what he's doing. He has a culturally aware and competent staff. He knows where to be and when to be there. He's not following other candidates. He's 2 steps ahead of every candidate that's there. And so when we talk about these campaigns, we could talk about, I always tell people, when we're talking to people, the community, the grassroots people that are out there that's just going to look for who they're going to vote for just to give their vote and give their appreciation to, they're looking for somebody that's simply present and that can speak to their issues, that's culturally aware, culturally competent, culturally sensitive to the issues that they have. Joe Biden is able to do that because he have a team of people that are culturally aware and they're well-rounded. The other people, we just don't even know who they really are.
Here's what's interesting to me. I have this very interesting here, and I'm reading this. Let me find this person's comment, Kelly, before I publicly blast them. Paris Sming, right? Dan, did Bernie Sanders do something to you, Roland? No, it's called covering the election. See, again, though, this is part of the problem here. Sanders' black supporters don't want to have this conversation when we have to have this conversation because you can't explain what is happening if you don't break down what is happening. Got that, Paris?
Well, the worst thing that anyone can do in the middle of an argument is deflect. And that's what I'm seeing out of the camp of Bernie Sanders, especially when it comes to getting black voters. So what I'm seeing is especially like right now, you're actually laying out the facts as to what's wrong with the Bernie campaign. Like we're seeing
like I got
gaps.
some fool, Robert Nichols, a team of sellouts leading us to slaughter. Okay, so I guess so again though. See, this is the whole. So I guess the black people in South Carolina were sellouts, and the black people in North Carolina, and the black people in Texas, and the black people in Arkansas, and all the other states that Joe Biden won. I guess all those people are sellouts. See, this is idiotic, and also that doesn't help your campaign. Because you're not going to convince anybody to come your way if you want to call somebody a sellout.
Not at all.
Robert Nichols.
Not
at all.
Data-driven people.
You know, so when I see that, again, they're deflecting. You're actually giving us an issue point, and they're not addressing the issue point. They're just like, well, you're a sellout. You're saying that Bernie Sanders didn't go to Mississippi? Well, you're a sellout. Well, how are we a sellout if he didn't go to Mississippi? He really didn't go to Mississippi. Like, that's a problem. If you're trying, like, the primary for Mississippi is today. You didn't go to Mississippi to try and garner votes for you.
And I love these
that's the
people.
problem.
And I love people who are saying, Roland, you're not always right. Okay, fine. Show me why I said I was wrong.
They spotted him.
No. I mean, I just want y'all to just show me. Show me, was I wrong that Sanders did not go to Selma this year? Was I wrong that he did not have, that he announced a major speech on race in Mississippi, then canceled it? Was I wrong in quoting his own campaign? See, this is why I think it's hilarious when you listen to people who are caught up in their feelings. And you know what? I always have a slogan called FYF. You probably can figure that out when it comes to your feelings. No, but that's part of the problem. People who are caught up in their feelings, okay? Because they don't want to confront what even the Sanders team is saying on this issue. They don't even want to confront that. And here's the other deal. We reached out to the Sanders campaign to have a black Sanders supporter on the show to state the case. They couldn't find one. So, again, please tell me how that's a problem for us if that's the case. I'm just trying to understand how. Oh, I'm wrong, but we only stated that. And didn't we have a Black Sanders supporter on yesterday about his plan for Black women in healthcare? Yeah, I thought so. Go ahead, Bellick.
Yeah, so you've said this many times before. You know, if you're not willing to make the effort to now, there isn't a lot of Black media out there. So we're we're kind of standing alone. And so considering the number of candidates that you've actually not just their surrogates, but the candidates themselves that you've interviewed, to not use this as an opportunity, it is the same thing that happened with Mississippi, where Sanders decided not to go because there's a larger share of white voters in Michigan than there is in Mississippi. That is a blind spot for Sanders, and it is I don't know, and maybe it's just, you know, how you get stubborn. And I think Sanders is stubborn in that way, where he's saying, well, no, we don't have to do that to win. Okay, well, you're going to lose again, just like you lost in 2000.
I'm surprised he didn't take a page out of
Chris is back? Okay, all right, folks. So we have Professor Chris Toller, who's back. We got the Skype issues all figured out. Professor Toller, why do you think the Sanders campaign just did not focus on this for 4 years? That how in 2020 you're having the same problem you had in 2016?
I think a lot of it is actually wrapped up in the thrust of Sanders and his campaign and his message focused on the working class and economic justice. And the message itself sort of encompasses racism and racial issues all in one sort of raise the ship effort. In doing so, though, it makes it difficult to sort of separate what issues need to be prioritized specifically for the African-American community within an economic platform. And honestly, part of our article, part of the work that we're doing is arguing that the Democratic Party as a whole really needs to do better at this and work at this in the long haul, and that even though Sanders' message itself sort of is problematic on face value, the party itself is going to be in a lot of trouble if they're not able to figure these things out, even going into the general, regardless of who the nominee is, because really African-American voters need to be turning out and voting at the same historic levels as in 2008 and 2012.
But what's interesting, but Chris, what's interesting is, and again, this is where the conventional wisdom, I think, is all over the place. All we heard was that Sanders supporters are raucous, they are going to turn out, they are excited. Yet if you actually look at where Sanders won, him and Buttigieg in Iowa, turnout was flat, was about the same in 16. Look what happened in New Hampshire. Turnout was flat. Those are white states, 90+%. All of a sudden, you go to Nevada, 45% Latino. Increase in turnout, Sanders did very well, he wins Nevada. But when you go to South Carolina, 538,000 people voted in South Carolina. That's more than who voted in 2008 when Obama was on the ballot. Then we go to Super Tuesday, Virginia, 2016, 760+ thousand people voted in Virginia in 2016. 1.2 million voted in Virginia in 2020. North Carolina, Texas. I'm rattling off states that Biden won, so I'm just trying to, it's interesting. Who's the turnout machine? The turnout machine is, we hate Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And what these voters are saying is, we're picking the person who we think can beat Donald Trump. So again, to Team Sanders, explain to me how you have this massive turnout, but your guy didn't win, which means he's not the beneficiary of the massive turnout. Christopher, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think the rhetoric around the massive turnout is still yet to be seen, sort of. As you mentioned, we're still getting through these primaries, and if Super Tuesday has any indication, especially in states with large African-American communities and voters, Sanders is not seen as the best chance to beat Trump. And from all of our research and survey work, if not the most, one of the most powerful indicators as to whether or not African Americans are going to turn out and participate in politics is how much they dislike Trump and the Trump administration. That's really the force that's driving all of this within politics right now.
All right, Professor Chris Toller, man, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, folks. I talked about Senator Bernie Sanders standing with Reverend Jackson, standing with him on Sunday. This is a video Team Sanders actually put out praising Reverend Jackson. Go to my iPad, please.
With me, I stand with him because he's never lost his taste for justice for the people. I stand with him because he stands with you.
Reverend Jackson worked with Martin Luther King. Jesse Jackson helped lead the fight against segregation and racism in the South. What he did as the first major African-American candidate in the history of this country was to put together a coalition which he named the Rainbow Coalition. He came to Vermont. I'm proud we supported him back then. He won Vermont and a number of other states, including the state of Michigan.
We never lose when we fight together. We must have a common agenda. I talk these days about democratic socialism. What does all that mean? Democracy, all for and by the people. We want a fair social spending budget. Roosevelt called it Economic Bill of Rights. After that came Social Security. Johnson called it war on poverty. Dr. King called it job on income for every America. So Johnson, Dr. King, or Roosevelt were on the right page. Thank God for Bernie Sanders. Bernie can win, will win, must win. When Bernie wins, health care wins. Love you guys.
Let me just say to the Reverend Jackson, it is one of the honors of my life to be supported by a man who has put his life on the line for the last 50 years fighting for justice.
All right, folks, again, today, Michigan, 125 delegates on the line there. The state of Washington, second biggest state with 89 delegates. Sanders crushed Clinton by more than 40 points there in 2016. Recent poll had Biden winning in Washington state. Missouri, 68 delegates. Mississippi, 36 delegates. Idaho, 20 delegates. North Dakota has 14 delegates there as well. So we'll see exactly what happens tonight. All right, folks, today in Detroit, Joe Biden was campaigning there, and let's just say he was surrounded by a whole bunch of white men who are auto workers, and one of them had a serious problem, and he did not expect Cussing Joe to show up.
How you intend on getting the union vote when there's a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns?
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my sons hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
Your voice, you were said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it. Wait. Take the AR-14s and what?
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Hey, let's
Don't tell me to do that.
There's a lot of guys.
How you intend on getting the union vote when there's a...
All right, y'all. So, first of all, I love that video. I love that video, okay? And what I really love, not only with Biden saying you're full of shit, him going, shush. See, campaign aides always are trying to shut something down because they're like, I'm gonna protect the candidate. Biden was like, no, I'm gonna cuss his ass out, okay? Here's the thing that I find to be really amazing. Here you have this white auto worker standing there saying, how are you gonna get the union vote when a lot of these folks, they're hunters? Biden should have said, if it wasn't for me and Obama, your punk ass wouldn't have a job. Yeah, I said that, Melik. Here's the reality. Republicans stood against the auto bailout in 2009. Who backed it? Obama, Biden. And see, that's what kills me. And so let me remind y'all, Romney was against the auto bailout. When Obama dropped that ad on Romney after the first debate, his opposition to the auto bailout, all that debate goodwill he got went all out the window. See, it's amazing to me how people forget. So you're saying, oh, yeah, we want to hunt, but your broke ass wouldn't even have money to buy a gun if didn't save the auto bailout. So that's what you talk about, voting against your interests. And the guy sitting there reading from the phone. No, Biden wanted him. You know what? I want to see that again. I just want to see Joe Biden cuss his ass out again. Press play.
How you intend on getting the union vote when there's a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish our Second Amendment right and take away our guns?
You're full of shit.
All right, thank you.
No, shush. Shush. I support the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment, just like right now, if you yell fire, that's not free speech. And from the very beginning, I have a shotgun, I have a 20 gauge, a 12 gauge, my son's hunt. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out that are simply a lie.
Your voice, you said that you're taking the guns.
Well, he just clarified it. Wait. Take your AR-14s and what?
Okay, this is not okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Hey, let's
You went
keep
up
on
to
moving. There's a lot of guys.
How you intend on getting
Here's what I find real interesting, Malik. The auto worker getting mad when Biden started pointing, hey. And I'm like, you roll up on me. You in my personal space.
I agree.
And also, the pearl clutching. oh, my goodness. From all these Republicans. Trump folks retweeted the video. All the pearl clutch. Do we need to remind Republicans what Donald Trump has said? How Donald Trump has cussed? Get rid of the sons of bitches? Do we need to go just do a roll call of what Trump has said?
So I will be consistent here and not have a problem with Joe Biden said in the same way that I don't have a problem with many of the things that President Trump says that we often say is unpresidential. Now, I imagine that if Donald Trump was actually engaging with the voter...
Actually, he wouldn't, because actually Donald Trump doesn't even get that close to voters.
I imagine that...
No, but he wouldn't.
Maybe not.
Not maybe. Show me the video where Donald Trump would even walk through and talk to a group of auto workers like that. He just stands his ass behind a podium at a big old rally.
Even if he were a rally.
Yeah, I thought so. Go ahead.
Even if he were at a rally, at a podium, engaging with the voter and had cussed the voter out, I'm pretty sure that our hair would be on fire at this point.
No, it wouldn't.
But
no, it wouldn't because we do recall in that video what he said about where he grabbed women.
Well, that's something totally different.
Yeah,
than
okay,
engaging.
it's totally different. Okay,
what that was is actually engaging with the voter. And as I said, I don't have a problem with, I love the pushback. One of the things I like about Donald Trump is that he's actually willing to push back. I wish that there were times where
he lies.
Obama,
actually, he lied. Well, actually...
I wish there were times where Barack Obama actually utilized some...
You know damn well a black man cannot sit here... Come on, dog. Come on, dog.
What I may know and what I would like to happen, so I'm just being honest, I wish that there were times where Barack Obama said, look.
Well, I like
you
not looking like Mr. Rogers right now, but your ass do.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Can we go out?
Come on.
I don't have a problem with what what Joe Biden did, and I do know that there were Republicans who were against Bush's 700 billion or 700 million, I think, the auto bailout of October of 2008. So I do know that there were Republicans who were against that as well, but. As far as this exchange, again, I have no problem with it, but I know that if Donald Trump had did that, we would be having a different...
Man, the nonsense that Donald Trump does all the time. Look, at the end of the day, you got to start calling out these lying-ass Trump people like you need to. I'm sorry.
How we know he's a Trump person? How we know he's a Trump person?
Mel, did you actually just say that?
Did he say that he was a Trump person?
Dog, anyway, like I said, because it's the lying. It's the straight up lying. When Joe Biden's like, hold up, here are the guns that I own. What are you talking about? No, in their mind, if you suggest any form of gun control, you're against Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. That's the problem, and that's why Biden said, you full of shit.
Look, let me say this. I'm a mayor. I am so appreciative of what he did. oftentimes it's double standard that people can run up on an elected official and talk crazy and disrespect them and say what they want to say and then not expect them to respond as absolute foolishness. Now, it's a complete difference when you're on the podium at a rally talking crazy about a group of people that have not even approached you or said anything. This individual came up in his personal space and called him out and lied on him. So he had the exact right to address him and tell him that he was full of shit, because he was.
See, Kelly, this right here, I have said this for years. That exchange right there is why I can't run for public office. That right there. Because I know I can't. Because, see, I know.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with 100,000 votes. And I'm going to end with about 18,000. No, because I'm telling you. Because, see, I remember the same thing, Elizabeth Warren. Remember that white dude roll up on her? I think she was in Ohio.
Yes.
And, with your plan to forgive student loans, where's my money? You know, I worked these jobs and I paid all my daughter's debt and I saved my money and my friend was taking vacations, and so what? He gets a free ride. He was all in her face. And then when she tried to answer, then he walked off. See, right there I'd be like, no, bring your punk ass back. See, that's what I'm telling you all. It's best I'm right here. Because I know I would cuss a voter out every day. It'd be like take some aspirin and cuss a voter out.
No.
They go together.
I totally understand your viewpoint, and even though I have a cool, calm demeanor on this show, I really do have a short fuse when it comes to my temper. So I'm with you. I too could not vote or run for public office because of my mouth. But I say all that to say, I still didn't like the video. I appreciate what Biden did in addressing him, but I miss the respectability of presidential nominees and presidents.
That's gone.
I know it's gone. So
thanks to his guy, that's gone.
So I have to revamp my mind a little bit and recalibrate how I see something.
That's why I can't wait for it. Look, if Biden gets a nomination, or Sanders gets a nomination, I can't wait for a debate. His ass lying.
Right.
He ain't gonna
His
remember.
ass lying.
That's rude.
His ass
He
lying.
ain't gonna remember.
His ass. I'm telling you right now. I'm sorry. The only way you deal with Trump is his ass lying right now. Lying. And then that's when you turn. You done? Any more lies you want to tell the American people?
He gonna stutter his way through.
No, he not.
Yeah, yes.
No, he not. First of all,
I'm looking forward to that debate, actually.
First of all, Trump lies so much. If Joe Biden stutters lie, that means he just repeating lie multiple times. So it don't even matter. But no, I'm telling you, you cannot. Look, Joe Biden right now is preparing to deal with these crazy ass people. Remember when that woman called Obama a Muslim and McCain took the microphone? Ma'am, no.
Right.
No.
Right.
No. That's gone.
Yeah.
Okay? Bye-bye. Okay? And the whole Republican Party has gone along with crazy-ass orange dude.
No, and I understand that. Again, it's still something that I can still say that I miss it. I can still say that I miss the class that came with the presidential title and the nomination and that whole process. With respectability, politics is a thing. It doesn't have to translate through all aspects of our lives, but at the very least, the presidential election. And unfortunately, it's gone because of 45 and because of.
I think it's social media. I don't
No,
think it's
no, hell no.
I don't think that.
No, hell
think
no.
that Donald Trump.
It's the punk ass dude you voted for.
Well, Roland,
that's what it is.
If that's the case, then that means, and this is why I reject that argument that I hear people make many times. If that's the case, then you were waiting because we were perfection when Obama was in office.
No.
Because
Hold up. Nobody said perfection.
Let me finish my point.
Nobody said perfection.
If we're talking about someone who was presidential and someone that our kids could look up to, someone that we would follow and be proud of, Barack Obama,
somebody who was a family man, somebody who had one wife who was a baby, who had a baby mama, and then he had the same two kids. Somebody who's also a Christian. But go ahead.
Then Barack Obama would be that standard of the politician that we say, all right, if you're going to be presidential, then that's the model that we should follow.
But according to your party, he wasn't a Christian.
But if
he was a Muslim, he was a thug, all this sort of stuff. What happened?
If Obama was that model, and we followed that model because it was Obama, and somehow it just took him leaving office for us really to dive into our lesser selves, which is essentially what we've done, especially
No, it was Obama. No, hold up. It was Obama. Hold up.
But
it was
Donald Trump
Obama.
doesn't dictate
It was
your
Obama.
behavior, though.
It was Bush. It was Clinton.
Yeah.
It was Bush.
Absolutely.
It was Reagan. It was Ford. It was Carter. It was Ford. you had Nixon, you had LBJ, you had Kennedy, you had individuals who respected the office of president.
But
now what you have is you have a vile, despicable thug who has thuggish children.
Oh,
No, let me say it again.
His children
Thuggish
thugs.
children,
His children
who
are thugs.
love to berate people as well. And
Defend their father.
No.
Yeah.
Berate people as well. You got Lil Fredo, Donald Trump Jr.
Fredo.
You got Fredo 2 with Eric Trump. Okay, you got all of that going on.
But why does that dictate your behavior?
No.
Why does what
Because
Donald
you know
Trump
what?
do
Because
dictate
here's why.
how we act?
Because here's why.
We're responsible for ourselves.
Because here's why.
I grew up in the home that I grew up in.
Because he respects
My
no
mother said,
norms.
I don't care what they do in their house. This is what you're going to do in this.
Well, guess what?
So what we
Right
say
now,
is
he's
that
in the people's
because
house.
of Donald Trump,
No.
we can go down to the gutter of politics.
You have to.
Because of Donald Trump.
You have to.
And that's an excuse.
Guess
It's a
what? Michelle
convenient excuse.
Obama said when they go high, when
On
they
the
go low.
stage where people were
Michelle
trashing
Obama
Donald,
said
going
when they go low, we go high.
And
I'm telling you
everybody
right now,
ignored that.
No. People respected that.
But they just ignored it.
Only way you deal with Trump, when they ass go low, you cut their ankles off.
Well, Michael
and
Bloomberg
then,
tried
if
that.
you no. First of all, he wasn't a nominee. Nice try.
But I'm saying Michael Bloomberg tried that in his
bottom line is
campaign
here.
against
You
Donald
cut
Trump.
their ankles off because you know why? When you're dealing with a thug, you got to swing like a thug.
But Joe Biden can't do that.
Okay, all right. Watch it happen.
I don't think Joe Biden.
Go ahead. Then I'm going to a break and go to my next guest.
First and foremost, I respect what you said, but let me tell y'all something. What he did was not classy. It was not thuggish. Joe Biden responded to ignorance, and he responded. He wasn't yelling. He said, "Full of shit." We all know what shit is, and what it was shit that he said.
We can smell it and see it.
I don't think that what he did and how he handled himself was not classy or was a deterioration of his character. I think it was a showmanship of who he really is. He was just being himself.
Well, if that's
and
who
I
he really is,
respect
that's
that.
problematic.
Nah, ain't no problem for me.
That's problematic because
Ain't a problem for me.
and we shouldn't be.
So how many people cuss in America?
It's not about America. He's trying to be the president of the United States. He's
Of
supposed to
America.
be, but he's supposed to be the standard for us.
But how many
I'm
people
with
in
Kelly.
America?
That's irrelevant.
Yeah, he can be that standard. He can be the standard when he win.
Again,
Kelly.
I'm
I
not
completely
saying,
understand, but he's not walking around here cussing. What he did, he was approached by a person that was antagonistic, and
he
I
cussed
think
him
that
out. So I
he did not
empathize-
cuss him out. He
No,
used
he
a
used-
curse
no,
word.
he definitely
He
just
cussed
He
him out.
used a curse
Full of shit,
word,
son of a
and he
bitch,
had
same
respect.
thing.
Well,
No,
he
it's
didn't
not.
say- He didn't say black people don't matter.
First of
He
all,
didn't
full of
say
shit
that
and son of a
black
bitch not the
people
same
ain't
thing.
nothing.
Right, I'm not saying-
No, because that means somebody calling your mama a bitch.
That's
That's
it. That's word.
somebody's vagina.
Again, I'm not
like,
saying
you know,
that what he said
he didn't-
wasn't warranted. I'm not saying
Okay,
what he
thank
said
you.
isn't valid.
All right.
What I'm saying is
And you
it
didn't
was-
say what he said was like how Trump behaves.
Oh,
which
no.
is
I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is it was unpresidential.
Okay,
Period.
all right.
He had a slip up, and it was
All
unpresidential.
right,
There we go.
guess
I can
what?
respect that.
And if it happened tomorrow, cuss his ass out again. All right, gotta go to a break. We come back. We'll talk about the upcoming election and democracy and the importance of the Voting Rights Act right here in Roland Martin Unfiltered. You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. All right, so a lot of y'all are always asking me about some of the pocket squares that I wear. Now, Robert don't have one on. Now, I don't particularly like the white pocket squares. I don't like even the silk ones. And so I was reading GQ magazine a number of years ago, and I saw this guy who had this pocket square here, and it looks like a flower. This is called a shibori pocket square. This is how the Japanese manipulate the fabric to create this sort of flower effect. So I'm going to take it out and then place it in my hand so you see what it looks like. And I said, man, this is pretty cool. And so I tracked down, it took me a year to find a company that did it. And so they make these about 47 different colors. And so I love them because, again, as men, we don't have many accessories to wear. So we don't have many options. And so this is really a pretty cool pocket square. Now, what I love about this here is you saw when it's in the pocket, you know, it gives you that flower effect like that. But if I wanted to also, unlike other, because if I flip it and turn it over, it actually gives me a different type of texture. And so therefore it gives me a different look. So there you go. So if you actually want to get one of these Shibori pocket squares, we have them in 47 different colors. All you got to do is go to RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So it's RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. All you got to do is go to my website, and you can actually get this. Now, for those of you who are members of our Bring the Funk fan club, there's a discount for you to get our pocket squares. That's why you also got to be a part of our Bring the Funk fan club. And so that's what we want you to do. And so it's pretty cool. So if you want to jazz your look up, you can do that. In addition, y'all see me with some of the feather pocket squares. My sister, who's a designer, she actually makes these. They're all custom made. So when you also go to the website, you can also order one of the customized feather pocket squares right there at RolandSMartin.com/pocket squares. So please do so. And of course, it goes to support the show. And again, if you're a Bring the Funk fan club member, you get a discount. This is why you should join the fan club. All right, folks, as the election nears, Democratic House members are revving up their efforts to pass the Voting Rights Act. Now remember, they actually passed H.R. 4. It was designed to make it more difficult for states to discriminate against voters of color and give the federal government a stronger ability to take action against states with a history of discrimination. But, of course, Republicans haven't done a damn thing because Mitch McConnell, he calls himself the Grin Reaper. Joining us right now is Diallo Brooks, Senior Director of Outreach and Public Engagement for People for the American Way. Here's the problem. Democrats can do whatever they want to do in the House, but you have Mitch McConnell, who is not going to do a damn thing. Republicans do not care about this issue when it comes to voting. They sit here, they front, they lie. They go down there to Selma every year with Congressman John Lewis on a damn field trip, take pictures, say, oh, my God, this is so great. We're celebrating all the people, who marched and the foot soldiers, and they come back to D.C. and do the same BS they always do.
Yep, that's what they've done. And basically, if you look at the suite of stuff that's happened on the House side, we said we create change in the House, we elect more Democrats in the House, we actually do work. Folks pass some legislation, pass a good legislation, really trying to get corruption out of the system, money and politics issues, deal with some of the voting issues, the voter purges that we see, the voter ID stuff that we see, and it gets to the Senate and it dies in the Mitch McConnell graveyard. And so as folks are going to the polls in these primaries and getting ready for the general election, that has to be front of mind, particularly for black voters, is that this Senate under the Republican administration is a place where good pieces, practical stuff that makes sense goes to die.
And so that used to be bipartisan. The reality is the Reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act typically was a bipartisan act.
Exactly.
But when the Supreme Court made that decision, Shelby v. Holder, these Republican-led legislatures and governors immediately went about across the country, not one state, not two, not three, not five, begin to changing the law.
Right.
The reason 1,200 polling locations, the reason those locations closed is not because of money, because they knew after the Supreme Court decision, they didn't have to worry about pre-clearance from the Department of Justice.
Exactly.
All the voter ID laws, all the voter suppression stuff, they put that thing was on steroids after Shelby v. Holder.
Yes, and you saw it happen in Alabama, but also you saw it recently in Texas. Look at how many polling places have closed. I think it's over 750 polling places closed in Texas. 750, so places where people were used to going to vote, they're eliminating those things.
But here's also what has happened this year in Texas, okay?
Right.
Because when people were talking about the long lines in Texas, actually, it was Republicans being obstinate in Texas. So here's why.
Right.
First of all, because Democrats control counties, Dallas County, Harris County, Bexar County, Travis County. Here's what they said. They said, okay, to the Republican Party, can we have voting booths where anybody can vote? They knew there were going to be very few people voting in the Republican primary. Republican Party said, nope. If y'all have 10, we have 10, and only Republicans can vote in our 10.
Right.
So what happened was, to all y'all people understand, and my parents also worked the polls in Texas. I saw when I voted. You have two different rooms, two different areas there. And so you had 10 booths not being used at all. And you had all the people over here trying to use 10. The Harris County elections clerk, she posted the letter where they asked Republicans, why don't you simply join us and say, let people use the vote? Because all you got to do is when you go vote, they give you a ballot. a Democratic ballot, Republican ballot. You can use any machine. Republicans said, nope, same number, and you can't use them. That's actually what contributed to those long lines in Texas as well.
Exactly. And so what you see is voter suppression. You see folks being pushed out of the process that are not, they're doing everything that they can to keep folks from participating in this process because they know when black folks show up, when black folks turn out, it becomes very difficult for them to win an election when black folks turn out in large numbers. So they do everything possible to undermine that. And then, like I said, the House has done a great job of saying, okay, you kick the ball back to us, the Supreme Court. We're going to address these issues.
Right. After you had Wisconsin Congressman Sensenbrenner, who tried to push forward the bill, could not get enough of his Republican colleagues to sign on as co-authors. And in fact, each year he introduced it, it had fewer and fewer Republican co-authors that signed on.
Right.
The only reason they got passed was Democrats took control of the House.
Right. But see, it's their strategy. They've understood, and so they've started to come together and say, look, we're going to have a strategy of undermining the vote every way we can. And every opportunity that's presented themselves, they've taken advantage of that to eliminate voters from the process. Because you see these massive voter purges that are happening in states. And so, like I said, the House has done some stuff to address those issues. When it's been sent to the Senate that's Republican-led, Mitch McConnell was the one that makes the decision on what bills get dealt with. It's a graveyard. It goes and dies. And so, as we go, like I said, as we go to the polls, y'all had a rich discussion earlier. As we go to the polls, black folks have to realize that they're taking something from you. They care about doing that.
Why won't your boy, Mitch McConnell, allow the bill to come to the floor?
The Senate has always been the place where bills go to die.
That's not what I asked you. I asked, why won't Mitch McConnell
you have to let me
allow
answer,
the House
you have
vote,
to let me answer
House
the question,
bill to come to
but
the
you
floor.
have to let me answer the question. So the Senate is usually the place where bills go to die. So you're actually right that it's a graveyard. That's what the Senate does. Why won't Mitch McConnell bring it forward? I don't know. I think it's something that actually should come. I think a number of bills actually should come to the floor. Mitch McConnell has not done that, but I think it's something that I don't think that these are conversations that are particularly helpful to the Republican Party to continue to have this notion.
I'm sorry, you mean the honest ones?
Well, I don't think this is something actually beneficial to the Republican Party to have Mitch McConnell as the constant in a constant discussion about voter suppression. So this is something that I think was passed in December. I think it was introduced in March and maybe passed by the House in December, but we're now into March. So what that calendar looks like, I don't know, but I do think that it's something that Mitch McConnell should bring to the floor.
Mitch McConnell understands that voter suppression is absolutely a part of the Republican Party platform. It's not written, but it's real clear. You can't tell me consistently all across the country, Republicans keep pulling these games and it's not the plan of the Republican Party.
I mean, and the numbers show that. Regarding the Senate specifically, I don't understand why any of these bills haven't come to the floor, specifically regarding voter suppression, because if the Republicans, they have the majority in the Senate, right? So if it goes to the floor, it's going to be voted against anyway. So what's the point of just having it?
And it's going to be voted against because they do not support.
Exactly.
They purposely want voter suppression. Republicans need to keep the voting total low to give them a shot.
No, I understand that.
You said, I don't know why. That's the reason.
No, but what I'm saying is, yes, the bill is going to the Senate to die, but it'll also die either way by vote.
But what Mitch is doing is he's protecting his colleagues. He's the ultimate protector in that building. So he's saying, okay, you don't have to go on record. You got campaigns.
So that's the real deal right there.
Okay.
You got campaigns coming up. You don't have to vote on this. I'll go ahead and be the bad guy. I'll hold these bills. Nobody votes on it. There's nothing on the record saying that you're against these bills.
So you can go out there and lie and say,
hey, if it comes up for vote.
If it comes up, we'll consider it. Damn well he ain't gonna never bring it up.
Right. And I'll just say this too from that end. I know this might be something that's a little bit difficult, y'all know. Look, in these localities where they're actually eliminating voter where people vote, is a lot of times they say, oh, it's because we can't afford to pay poll workers. There are so many different reasons that come up, and some of them are in black communities. I think it's important that we also address the concerns and inform people how important it is that this individual that been voting at the community center for 25 years understands that. And I think that these bills, even so if you look at some of these bills, they still don't address the amount of space, the amount of time it takes, or how many miles are between the voter's place and then residential places. So I think too they need a little bit of input from people that are actually on the ground, because these are issues that we have in localities. I know from a municipal standpoint, sometimes we want to decrease voter places just to make it easier. Let's have one polling location, one voting location. But I think these bills.
And is it a police station?
Right.
Sometimes it's a fire station. But I will say that the importance is that these bills are not really culturally sensitive. They're not competent of the areas. And I think that these bills should be directed to more local mandates. So county and municipalities should be able to look at these things, because that's who really control these elections. And when they're controlled by Republicans or Democrats, oftentimes they're not really done properly anyway from a local standpoint. But I do think that, number one, these national bills are not really fully developed. Number two, I think that party is completely ruining the entire process. And number three, we got to remember things like the Civil Rights Act. We got to remember things that are really important and things that people fought for so they could have on the.
But here's the deal, though.
Standpoint.
Republicans are doing something that's even more dastardly and shameful and despicable, and that is this here. It's happening in your state. What they have been doing is, Diallo.
We know about my state.
No. But it's not, what I'm saying is. And it's a small organization out of Virginia. And what they've been doing is they have been sending letters to small towns in Mississippi saying, we have determined you need to purge these people from your voting rolls, or you're going to be in violation, and therefore we're going to sue you. And there have been small locales in Mississippi who cannot afford any legal battle, and they're like, well, we got no choice to doing so. Those are Republican-led efforts, and you've had civil rights groups, Diallo, trying to fight them, but they have been doing that, sending letters to these small towns to get them to purge black and brown people from the voting polls.
Right, and they've been pushing that, but also there's another organization that's just as dangerous as well. It's called ALEC, the American Legislative Exchange Council, right? And so they work with all these state legislators around the country, and they've had a history of doing a lot of work behind the scenes, basically with corporations and some other folks, of really figuring out strategies to undermine the turnout. Because, like you said before, Roland, you hit the nail on the head. Less people turning out impacts their ability to win or lose an election. So, particularly less people of color, less black people. The less black people that turn out, the more likely they are to win. So they have these strategies. So it's not just like the polling locations, which you mentioned, but it's also polling locations coupled with voter ID laws. So, okay, I have to get an ID, but the place I go to get my ID is only open from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock.
Or like today, Kristen Clark tweeted this here, St. Charles, Missouri.
Right.
They were telling folks they needed an ID to vote, and they were, no, you don't.
Right.
All you needed, you could have a utility bill or other items showing your address, and that was an absolute lie.
Right.
That was a lie. And again, these are the things that are happening.
This is what I'm saying. In communities like mine, that is what the people think is right. So they're fumbling to get to the DMV, and then the DMV closed at 5. It's still 30 people that still haven't gotten their ID, and they are registered to vote. But we have, as leaders, as municipal leaders, and we have to do a better job at educating our people and making sure that they understand what they have to vote. So what we do is we send out one-pagers, the same efforts that go out, because I'm going to tell you that purging, as Joe Biden would say, that purging bullshit, that has come to our city every year, okay, to purge the roll, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But the reality is nobody's telling people, hey, you don't have to have an ID, you can have this. Nobody's telling you.
No. Groups are doing that. But again, this goes back to, which is a fundamental issue, and it came out in Bush v. Gore, and that is there's no affirmative right to vote in the United States Constitution.
Right.
People keep saying, voting is a right. Actually, it's not. Justice Antonin Scalia literally wrote that, okay, in his particular opinion. The problem is, and Alicia Reese has been trying to do this in Ohio, trying to get a ballot initiative to actually make voting a state right. Because what that then does is, then it eliminates all these fights we keep having every 4 years of polling locations. Okay, what about hours, locations being open when it comes to early voting? Because now when you make it a state right, that now changes the whole piece. Right now, what you're dealing with is you're dealing with this constant battle because it's not an actual right.
Right. Yeah, it's that, and is the fact that the court struck down the Voting Rights Act. Because what you had before was a federal government that was able to come in and say, hey, there's voter suppression tactics.
But not everywhere.
Not everywhere, but
and
you're
that
right.
was
You're right. Not everywhere.
And that was the problem because what happened was, you know, all these these white folks in the South,
right?
Oh, this is so unfair that that we're being targeted, and then you had John Roberts, who for some damn reason act like he can't read, who goes, if you look at the turnout of African Americans, that means the Voting Rights Act has worked. Yeah,
right.
Because you had protection. Right.
So why?
That's why. That's sort of like saying, "Wow, you were able to go to school." Yeah, you see this big ass dude behind me scaring off the bullies. That's why nobody was fighting me coming to school. Get rid of the bully. Guess what? I'm back to fighting. It's exactly what happened.
Right.
When they gutted that section,
Section 5,
it went right back to what those states were doing. They said, "Oh, it's open season," and it was immediate how they passed those bills. Final comment.
But that's why elections matter, and that's why the presidency matters, because the president is the one who determines who sits on that Supreme Court. And so if we're not thinking about the courts, our federal courts, which was a place of protection for us, then it's a problem. So that's why our folks need to be, geared up, ready, organized, educated to be able to turn out to do what's necessary to change the game, because it's a difference between Trump or a Democrat making the decision who sits on the Supreme Court and where our protections.
Bottom line is, I have no confidence whatsoever Republicans are going to have any guts when it comes to supporting voting rights, because they know full well that smaller number benefits them. Simple as that. Y'all, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, the coronavirus continues to cause panic across the country. Tonight, New York City has called in the National Guard to the suburb of New Rochelle to set up a containment area. Here's a map of the 1 mile radius area. Now, within this space, National Guard troops will help to clean public spaces. They will also be used in Westchester County to deliver food to quarantine households. New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo says gathering places such as schools and religious institutions within a 1 mile radius of a highly impacted area of New Rochelle will be shut down. The restrictions will begin starting March 12th and last until March 25th. Now, speaking of the coronavirus, CDC Director Robert Redfield said efforts to fully contain the virus in some parts of the U.S. had failed, and the government would focus on blunting its impact with measures like curtailing large gatherings. Okay, I'm trying to understand. Malik, didn't Larry Kudlow stand for the cameras and say this has been contained? Didn't Donald Trump say it's been contained? So if they kept saying this has been contained, how do we keep getting new cases?
Oh, clearly, well, first of all, it's impossible. It was impossible for this to be contained.
So they were lying?
As we're saying. I don't know if they were...
Were they lying?
Look.
Yes or no? Were they lying?
I think that they, to be honest...
Malik, were they lying? Yes or no?
To be honest, because I actually saw both of those that you're referencing when they made the containment. I think that they were speaking from a federal government perspective and not trying to cause an actual panic.
No, Malik, were they lying?
Well, I just would not say that they were lying.
Right, but you wouldn't say it, but you know they were lying.
I would not say that they are lying, but what I will say...
Mario, were they lying?
They were very
Well, of course he's going to say that.
No, Mario, were they lying? No, hold up. This is a mayor. This is somebody who's responsible for citizens in his care. And when you heard government officials, Larry Kudlow, going before the cameras, when you heard Donald Trump saying, oh, this is contained, hey, it's down to 0, more cases.
What are
more
the medical
cases, more
professionals
cases.
saying?
If Kudlow and Trump had shut the hell up and allowed the medical professionals to talk, we could hear them.
I actually agree that Trump should stop.
So with
and
that
let the
being
medical
said, I think number
professionals
one, and I'll answer the question first, yes. And let me tell you, to me, the problem with coronavirus is, number one, that you got these people like Donald Trump and these different individuals getting up speaking on something that they're completely ignorant towards. And they're not allowed, they didn't allow the medical professionals to get out in front of this and to discuss it and actually talk about the real issues, the different strands, and actually educate the people on this. You have a conglomerate of people like that are in fear and scared and things like that because of the president's intentional lies that he put out about coronavirus.
Donald Trump said if you have it, go back to work.
Right,
But I don't think that's why people are afraid.
No, oh no. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you why that plays a factor.
Donald Trump said if you have coronavirus, go back to work. It's all good.
And let me tell you why. Look. This is why that plays a factor in fear. Because when he's saying this, and then you got medical professionals saying that, and then you got these individuals, you're confusing people. When you confuse people, you put fear in them.
Mario, at CPAC, them crazy white folks at CPAC were going, oh, this is fake. This is not real. This is all made up. And guess who got sick? Somebody at CPAC.
Right.
Which is why 3 members of Congress right now are self-quarantined because they all came into contact with that person, including Mike Pence and Trump. Kelly, bottom line is Trump has been lying. And they have stood out there and not led. He's been blocking the experts from speaking and being truthful. This is where, dude, sit your ass down and be quiet. But you want to go to the CDC and say, ooh, a doctor say, I am so great at this, I should have gone down this path instead of running for president. Because he's convinced himself that now he is all-knowing about viruses in the world.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And my main point of contention with 45 is the fact that he doesn't let other people lead. Like, he feels like he's the expert on everything, and it is clear that he is not. It is clear that he doesn't know what he's talking about like 95, 99, 100% of the time. So what happens is you have experts who are trying to push the information out there, like Mario was saying, and it's literally combating with what the President of the United States is saying. And it's creating chaos. Yep. And it could have been contained. It could have been more regulated, but we have literally this ball of confusion, not only from the government, but from the medical field.
So there's a difference between what Donald Trump says and what the capabilities of our federal government. So I reject the notion that if Donald Trump had not said some of the things that Donald Trump had said, that our federal government wouldn't be in a position.
I disagree with you.
Donald Trump is the head of the executive branch of government.
But again, so since they've actually created, and I can't think of whatever they call it, every single day, because I watch the news, and I'm sure all of us watch the news, every single day, medical professionals are on television telling us about what to expect with the virus.
Every single day, Donald Trump is saying something is contradicting what they say. And then you have these dumb MAGA people like, well, Donald said everything's great, so I'm going to believe Donald. I'm not going to believe the head of the CDC. I'm not going to believe Secretary of the Health and Human Services. I'm going to believe Donald because he's my man.
On this panel know any of those people who actually believe that stuff. So Donald Trump, I don't. Oh no. Do we personally know people? Because I don't. And if anybody knows MAGA people, it's actually me. And I'm not talking about what you see online.
Well, let me tell you.
I'm not talking about
those are
what
also
you.
MAGA people.
But I'm talking about. I'm saying personally know people. So every
why
single
would I personally know a MAGA person?
Well, why wouldn't you?
Because that's not my.
I know black Democrats. It doesn't mean just because doesn't mean you can't know other people.
Stop. Henry, go to my iPad. This is Larry Kudlow on CNBC on February 25th, y'all. Listen to this.
Coronavirus will spread to communities in the U.S. The CDC warned Tuesday. Dr. Nancy saying it's not so much a question of if this will happen, but a question of when. They're warning Americans for significant disruption to their daily lives, Larry.
Well, look, our public health people who are spectacular, the best in the world, are preparing for any eventualities, and that's exactly what they should do. They were ahead of the curve on the travel bans. Now they're ahead of the curve insofar as laying out potential emergency plans. That doesn't mean it's going to go into effect, but they're doing exactly what we're doing. We're going to get a supplemental. We've asked for a supplemental up on the Hill of a couple of $2 billion or so. That's exactly what they were doing. I just want to say, though, as far as the U.S. is concerned, when you look at this, I mean, you had a little higher head count on the infections because of the cruise ship people coming off. We have contained this. We have contained this. I won't say airtight, but pretty close to airtight. We've done a good job in the United States. Hats off to our public health people. And the other.
That was February 25th. Larry Kudlow said, it's not airtight, but we've contained this. It's close to airtight.
Larry Kudlow,
So it's not
the economic policy advisor. This is, as I said, they should actually leave this to the medical professionals.
Hold on. No. But I need you to answer this here. Why are they lying?
So, because I didn't, so the clip that you actually played, now I think there is a distinction that we could rightly make in the argument of when we're talking about something that's contained. So there's not a pandemic in the United States of coronavirus.
So now you're acting like.
Oh my God.
No, I'm not acting like them. I'm not acting like them. I'm actually giving you an answer.
Oh my God. Melik.
I'll actually be able to
Melik, stop. Melik.
I think that there is something
define
to
contain.
be said.
Define contain.
Well, contain, generally, if we're talking about contain, what most people think that there are no additional cases that are going to come from this.
Hold on, is that what contain means?
Well, that if we're talking about contain,
I'm asking you to define contain.
That's how I would define contain,
so
whether or not it's an actual outbreak.
So when the National Economic Council Director goes
Economic Council Director, which is my point.
Which is why he should sit his ass down.
But I've said that.
But
I've literally said that.
But this is the problem, Kelly.
I said that about Trump, and I said that about Kudlow.
Kelly, but this is the problem.
You just don't want to deal with that.
No, I am dealing with that. No, Melik, what I'm dealing with.
I said that Trump should stop. I've said that.
Kelly, what I'm dealing with is this. Because I know how the system works. You, as a National Economic Council Director, you cannot go on television unless somebody has approved it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just can't just hop up. And so the fact of the matter is, Kudlow was sent out to say that because Donald Trump only gives a damn about himself in the stock market. They were trying to stop the stock market from dropping,
which is valid.
No, it's not valid. What you do is you don't lie to try to get it to happen. And guess what? Nobody in the stock market believed them, and that's why the stock market has lost more than 4,000 points, wiped out gains for the last 2 years, and these fools keep lying. They stood there, and Donald Trump, Friday, look, anyone, you want a test? You can get a test. You want a test? You can get a test. It's a damn lie. It was an absolute lie because we'd already heard them say, the number of tests we said we're going to have available, we actually don't have them available. They keep lying. And that's the problem here. And then, of course, I'm going to find in a second, wait till I play this Media Matters clip where they just juxtapose Fox News and Fox News looking at, the Ebola virus, which was 2 people, 2 nurses, who was let back into the United States. And you swore Americans were just dropping dead from Ebola left and right, and how they were trashing Obama. The fact of the matter is, the Trump people keep lying, and they keep making stuff up, and they make it hard for the people to trust the professionals because, unfortunately, it's a bunch of these dumb MAGA people who only believe Trump. Go ahead.
Not only is it that they only believe Trump, they believe the president. They believe that office. So the problem with Trump lying is that he is the head of the executive branch of the United States. CDC falls under that. Surgeon General falls under that. They're on his cabinet. So everything that you hear from these other officials, they're all under Trump. So when they say one thing and Trump says another, no one's going to believe the former because the latter overrides the former.
Well, you should. Common sense says that you should.
Well, first of all,
that's the problem.
But common sense says that you should trust a medical professional.
Well, first of all, I
should trust my president.
First of all, it's a bunch.
I would actually believe my doctor over a president of the United States.
Normally, we have normal, non-narcissistic presidents.
A narcissistic president? We've never had one of those.
Excuse me. Normally, when you have non-narcissistic presidents, where it's not all about them, who understand how to urge calm, who understand how to defer to the medical professionals. What you have not had was a silly-ass president who goes to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention wearing a MAGA hat and essentially shushing them and then comparing the perfect coronavirus test
perfect call.
to his perfect call to the Ukrainians.
Letter.
That's the ignorance that you have here. But again, also, just so y'all understand, okay? Okay? Who's number one news network? Fox News, okay? I want to show y'all. I'll show y'all this video here. Media Matters put this together. And when you listen to all these people who are trashing Democrats, and you listen to, and then of course last night, oh my God, did y'all see Nutty Trish Regan and her video? Oh my God, it was. This is just a shame. This is where we should be joining together as a country and not criticizing our president, the same one who keeps lying. Matter of fact, I gotta play that one first. Y'all, it's
she's right.
No,
We
no,
should be coming
no.
together.
Well, hell, well, first of all, you can't come. How in the hell are we gonna come together when he can't even get together with his own administration and give a straight answer?
Well, because we should be able to do things without the president giving us permission to actually do.
Okay, I don't know what. You know what?
I'm just saying.
I don't know really. I don't know.
We continue to base
For
our
the person-
behavior
for
on
the only
president.
person on this panel who actually voted for him and said they're gonna vote for him again.
And
You actually saying some bullshit.
That's not-
So let me go.
it's just
Let me
not,
just
though.
go ahead and
You
just say that.
just happen to disagree with
It's some
it
absolute
because you like
bullshit.
that type of
Y'all,
trashy
last
stuff,
night, y'all
but
want
we know
y'all
what
want to
it is.
see crazy. This is like children of the corn crazy. Okay, y'all watch this.
Chorus of hate being leveled at the president is nearing a crescendo as Democrats blame him and only him for a virus that originated halfway around the world. This is yet another attempt to impeach the president. And sadly, it seems they care very little for any of the destruction they are leaving in their wake. Losses in the stock market. All this, unfortunately, just part of the political casualties for them. You know, this is a time to be united, not to be pointing fingers, not to be encouraging hate, and yet what do we see? We see the absolute opposite from the left tonight. Good evening, everyone. I am Trish Regan. The hate is boiling over, many in the liberal media using, and I mean using, coronavirus in an attempt.
He's already impeached.
Y'all,
You can't impeach him again.
Y'all, that was so much crazy. I figured I needed a break. Okay, back to crazy.
To demonize and destroy the president.
I don't think the president is capable of telling us the truth about the coronavirus.
They have no plan. They have no plan. The virus is going to kill Americans regardless of their stupidity.
This administration right now looks like they couldn't organize a one-car parade. He is not going to be able to have his rallies, and it is going to psychologically torment him.
The president should lead, or else he should get out of the way. Stay on the golf course.
This may be Donald Trump's Katrina.
Yeah.
This is an event that could take down a president.
There's no confidence in the president in anything he says or does. I wish he would just be quiet.
I see. This is impeachment all over again. And like with the Mueller investigation, like with Ukraine Gate, they don't care who they hurt. Whether it be their need to create mass hysteria to encourage a market sell-off, unlike anything we've seen recently, or whether it be to create mass hysteria in order to stop our economy dead in its tracks. Don't kid yourself. They told us how much they crave a recession as a way to get rid of Donald Trump.
Some elements of truth.
Y'all, I tried to tell y'all, it's a whole lot of cray-cray over there at Fox News. And when I say cray-cray, and y'all just heard breathy, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Protect Trump at all costs. Y'all heard all of that. Now, I want y'all to see. Now, y'all know right now, coronavirus is spreading across the country. People have actually died. 2 people. 2. What's that? Who's the conservative did 2 and 2? What's his name? Chuck Woolery? Yeah, who loved just Trump. 2 and 2. 2 people got infected with the Ebola virus who came from, I forgot, African nation to the United States.
Liberia.
2. Watch this. If you want to see the difference between Fox News losing their mind over 2 people compared to the more than 800 who have not been impacted by coronavirus.
And it's all really starts at the top. It starts with Obama. and lots of bad things are happening to this country.
Obama has imported dangerous things into this country since he got there. He's imported socialism here. He's imported Ebola into America.
The president should be cautious, safety first. But we're doing political correctness first.
Why has the president done absolutely nothing?
Obama's incompetency, his administration's incompetency, is really shining bright in this one. And if only President Obama would put America first.
Well, this president is all about making America safe again.
No president ever, except Donald Trump, ever acted faster, ever acted sooner, or have done more to stop the spread of an infectious disease.
He could personally suck the virus out of every one of the 60,000 people in the world and suck it out of their lungs, swim to the bottom of the ocean and spit it out, and he would be accused of pollution.
I actually think the president has, you know, in his press conference, he's handled this so professionally, and I think he reassured people.
Well, I think very few people trust our government as being competent. Let's not kid ourselves.
This is a top 10 city in the United States of America. Happens to be one that doesn't particularly care for the president all that much and his policies. One that the president has not been too favorable on. We are already being squeezed on our southern border. Now we're being squeezed by Ebola. Is there an agenda here?
Their priorities are not always obviously that of the national interest. In this case, it is as if he's making some sort of neoliberal one-world statement rather than talking about the country's public health standards and protections.
I mean, we have virtually incompetent leadership, so why would anybody trust our government to handle this crisis?
President Trump today detailing efforts to combat the coronavirus.
We've been very vigilant, and we've done a tremendous job.
The government has done an amazing job, I think.
You know, this is a time to be united, not to be pointing fingers, not to be encouraging hate, and yet what do we see? We see the absolute opposite from the left tonight.
The media complains that there was a lackluster initial response by the Trump administration. Say what?
The sense one could get from watching a lot of the coverage and the commentary that the coronavirus originated in the Trump White House and that the president is trying to spread it as fast as he can to as many people as possible, which, of course, is nonsense. Remember, the president said that this disease wouldn't make it here. Well, then it did. And then when it got here, it wasn't going to spread. Well, now it has.
Those two white people were in Africa caring for thousands of black people, and they should be saluted and regarded as heroes. He chose to take on the tone of a bureaucrat, and a weak and tepid bureaucrat at that.
Obama doesn't, I don't think, take it as seriously as, again, these African countries are, or Britain and France. President Trump and his team laid out, in fairly painstaking detail today, their prep for a possible virus outbreak in the United States. But that was not good enough for the party of pain and misery.
Sadly, instead of working hand in hand with the administration, top Democrats and some in the media are playing the blame game.
President Trump was literally reacting in record time.
The president and the CDC director has claimed that banning entry of those who have been in Liberia and other West African nations where cases of Ebola have been reported would hurt our relations with these nations. Hurting someone's feelings should not be the concern of the president. Protecting American citizens should be.
This president does not seem to have the interests of the American people on the top of the list.
The president said this. The explanation was, look, in the military, they have to do what they're told, all right? So we're going to tell them they have to be in 21-day quarantine. But civilians, and they have the power to tell civilians, hey, look, you have to be in quarantine. And if you're not, we'll forcibly put you in there. Right. The constitutional power is there.
Why does this president not protect the American people? Why does he care about these esoteric faculty lounge debates more than he does protecting Americans from death and mayhem? It is a pattern in this administration.
They are attacking this president daily, saying that he doesn't have the right leadership in the face of this, even though he made some serious decisions right out of the gate.
And the hate is boiling over, many in the liberal media using, and I mean using, coronavirus in an attempt to demonize and destroy the president.
President Trump was projecting calm leadership in the midst of all of this coronavirus hysteria today.
I'm just sick of a government that I'm paying for telling me not to worry and just trust them. I wish I could, but if they repeatedly lie to me, I just don't believe them anymore.
Sounds like the current one.
I'm going to just say this. I went to the Rayburn House building to a congressional office today, and the social ramifications of this, the confusion that I saw, even the treatment that I received there was just, to me, was just disgusting. I think that there's so much confusion. There's so many people that don't know what to do. You say trust our doctors, but if the doctor come on and say this and then the president of the United States come right behind them and say something different, then you start getting conflicted, then you start trusting Google, which is another place that you don't supposed to trust. So I think the problem is the messaging is off, which is like most things that come from the White House. And I think that there's a lot of conflict around this virus. There's a lot of misinformation out there. And people aren't Googling and going straight to the CDC website. They're going to different places. They're going to anything that they can see. And when the first thing you see, you talked a lot about, we shouldn't believe the president, but he has more airtime than anybody. He can reach millions of people in a matter of like milliseconds. This week is the National League of Cities event, and they had some educated people. Hats are off to Clarence Anthony, the CEO of National League of Cities, for bringing in people like Dr. Allen from the United States Department of Health, and bringing in people from agencies that actually were able to inform municipal elected officials and leaders in municipalities to be able to go home and have some types of plan of action, being able to give out one-pagers, being able to give out accurate information, data-driven facts to be able to help us to control this in our municipalities. But when you talk about what's coming from the White House, this is a complete catastrophe, and this is wrong, and I think that I'm with you, Roland, on this 100%, that he needs to just shh.
And Kelly, you're going to love this one. So that idiot Charlie Kirk, he tweeted, "Now more than ever, we need the wall. With China virus spreading across the globe, the U.S. stands a chance that we can control our borders. President Trump is making it happen. I explain why this matters and so much more." Donald Trump responds to his tweet, "Going up fast. We need the wall more than ever." Kelly, do you know how many cases that have now been confirmed in the United States?
Not been confirmed? No.
That have been confirmed in the United States?
What is it?
959. Do you know how many cases have been confirmed in Mexico?
2. I want to say 3.
2.
It was 2?
I think 2.
If y'all do 3 plus 2, you're close. It's 7. There have been 7 confirmed cases in Mexico.
3
7.
plus 2, yeah.
959 in the U.S. These dumbasses say, wall, wall.
As if you can't fly over said wall and still be contaminated.
No, Mexico should be saying, wall, wall. Keep y'all asses over there.
Right. No, for sure. Again, the level of misinformation coming from the highest office in the land is not only disconcerting, based off of what we've seen, it's embarrassing. Because this is our president. He's supposed to be trusting experts, and he's only trusting himself, and it's clear that he shouldn't even be doing that. So when I see stuff like this, it's very, very frustrating. It's very frustrating when you have experts out there who are trying to get the accurate word out, who are trying to contain this, who are doing their actual job based off of the education and the research and all of these things, and then you have somebody over here tweeting stuff like that, overriding the experts.
So is the wall the answer?
Well, of course the wall is not an answer.
Okay, but I got to ask you this here. I asked you about Larry Kudlow. CNBC, United Airlines reports 70% plunge in U.S. bookings as coronavirus. Boy, how about that containment?
Yeah, I mean, well, I imagine that the federal government would definitely, whether it's, and I think it would be in an administration, they would do their best to calm waters. And I'm not even going to repeat what I said about Donald Trump and what he should do, because I've already.
Because hell, he won't do it.
Because I've already said that.
And he won't do it.
As far as I know, like my people in Mississippi, they're not going to listen to the president. They're going to listen to their doctor. My people in Mississippi, they're not going to listen to the president.
I'm sorry, stop. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. When you say my people.
Meaning the people that I know in Mississippi.
Are they black people?
Well,
or are they Trump voters?
Well, they're black people. And the Trump voters that I know are going to listen to medical professionals.
So let me be clear. When I speak to the populace that I serve. And
right. I'm saying, and maybe in Moss Point, they will listen to the president.
No, let me stop
but
you.
the people that I know, I'm not disrespecting because you interrupted me.
Okay, so
this is how this works. You interrupted me before I finished my point. And what I was saying is,
when you have the CDC and the parts,
so people in Moss Point don't listen to the CDC.
Ignored. Yeah, we listen to them. What I'm saying is we don't get the airtime in Moss Point from the CDC and the State Department of Health. They're playing Trump in Mississippi. They're not playing the CDC and Department of Health. So guess what?
So the state officials, your state officials, because how it's working in other states.
My state officials are who?
Well, your state.
My state officials are who?
I'm saying, so your state
Trump
your state
supporters.
My state officials support who?
But your state health officials.
Of our city
so are you actually saying that your state health officials are putting out false information to
We haven't heard anything from our states.
And that is a problem. But in other states.
And who are they?
But in other even red states who are actually listening to whether it's their governor, whether it's their mayor, whether it's their local official,
so what's wrong?
This same information that you got today.
So what's wrong with your fellow MAGA supporters in Mississippi, your state?
I mean, I'm not concerned about MAGA supporters.
So only in Mississippi you saying that they don't listen to Trump, they listen to their medical professionals, right?
Well, I said the people that I know.
Okay,
you
so
said
how many people you know in Mississippi?
I was raised there. I was born there. So
okay, so you know about 10 people.
Let me
just be clear with you.
So the likelihood of me growing up in Mississippi, so we can play this game.
Okay.
So the likelihood of me growing up in Mississippi, knowing people in Mississippi, family being in Mississippi today, and you're going to Jackson, Mississippi, the capital of the city, not in Moss Point.
All right, so what have you seen? What have you seen?
You've already said that your state officials. You have already said that your state officials are not giving out information, which is a problem. Your state officials, whether they support Trump, whether they support Obama, whether they support anyone, your state officials should be giving out information to actually help you.
But wait a minute. But 1 second. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on.
So
One second. But how can state health officials be giving the information out when first and foremost state officials are getting their directions from the federal government? When the federal government, I'm not done. I am not done. When the federal government also has failed to properly prepare the states for what is happening. States were sitting here going, hey, what are y'all doing? What's going on? I'm not done. States were going, what are y'all doing? What about supplies? What's happening? You've been having all conflicting information. The problem is that the states that have been able to move fast are the ones that don't have to be so dependent upon federal government. Let me remind you, Melek, you're from Mississippi.
I sure am.
Okay? The fact of the matter is, Mississippi had more than half of its budget comes from the federal government. So Mississippi is different from a New York state because they absolutely are going, hey, feds, what are y'all doing? And the problem is the administration has given such conflicted information. States are saying, what the hell do we do?
Well, Trump is the first time that I've actually
Trump
heard
is out here saying, oh, you can get a test, but there are states that have said, well, the people are saying, hey, if you got it, don't come. We ain't testing you. Go home. Go home. Folks don't know what to do here because they have bungled this. Final comment before I got to go.
This is the first time that I've actually heard that the state health officials in Mississippi are not giving you the tools that you need to inform your population.
Well, first of all,
that is actually
first of all, we got a mayor of a city, so he might know because he's there.
I said that's an actual problem.
Yeah, that's a big ass problem.
That the state officials are not giving you the tools that you need to inform your population down there. That is a problem.
First and foremost, as a mayor, I listen and I take in information, but it's my job to make sure that if I put out anything, that there's a consistency gained from number one, my leadership and the people that support me, such as my board. So if we all are not being briefed on that information, and I can congratulate you to say that you're absolutely wrong again, that there's not one time has any state official or federal official came down and said, let's send an email out, let's brief them.
Well, I'm not wrong about that. I didn't know that information.
Right, but you spoke on it, you gave your opinion about
I said the people that I know in Mississippi, which is a difference in what you're saying about what your state officials are not doing. So if we're going to be accurate, factually, they should be doing that. Your state health officials should be helping you inform your population.
At the end of the day, you can say all this stuff, but
because
it comes down to this coronavirus. When it comes down to this, I've experienced so much fear from people because they don't know. This administration, these have
the state health officials
have conflicting conflicting information, and they're giving out.
And your state government too is responsible.
Our state government, they have not given us any structured information, especially not from the federal government.
That's a shame.
And you sit there and you show me one governor that's done a speech that has been consistent with what Donald Trump has said.
Well, we already know that what Donald Trump is saying is not exactly what the actual medical experts are saying, and they give a press conference every day about it.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wait. They gave a briefing the other day where they said no video recording, no audio recording, no pictures. What the hell?
They literally give a briefing every day. So,
Melik, I
think
just said they gave a briefing.
Listen
Melik,
to the medical professionals.
How can you listen to the medical professionals when they say don't record me?
Well, they literally every single day I'm watching a press conference where medical professionals are actually talking about it.
If you're going to give a briefing
down to Mississippi,
if you're going to give a
they
briefing,
should trust the medical professionals.
If you're going to give a briefing,
talking about
don't say don't record it, don't have audio video. Kelly, final comment.
The fact that you're saying that the medical professionals should be trusted over our president is a problem. Because it should still be a problem because it should be a streamlined
I'm going to always
message.
trust my doctor.
But the medical professionals aren't your doctor. They're under the president. So it's not your doctor.
Right. But I'm still going to trust the medical professionals over the president.
Don't forget, the State Department overruled the CDC when it came to those passengers flying back, and they put passengers on a plane with coronavirus, did not tell the other passengers. That was the political people who overruled the health officials.
And that's
the professionals. Yeah, and I'm trying to explain to you, the whole damn thing is a problem because we got nincompoop sitting in the Oval Office.
The problem is that if anybody were watching the show, nobody would think that anything that the federal government is doing is good.
Well, thanks to
no, that's not. No, not one of
fear.
Melik,
this is what that
Melik,
is.
not one of us. Melik, not one of us said that. Melik, not one of us said that. What did Melik? Not one of us said that.
But you said that the federal government is failing.
Listen. What I said is.
So what good thing is the federal government doing?
Melik, listen.
Well, I'm just asking.
No, Melik, listen.
I am listening.
Listen.
But you should answer that
No,
question.
Melik, listen.
What is it that the federal government is doing good?
Melik, listen. If the political people would shut the hell up and allow Fauci, allow the head of CDC, allow the Secretary of Health and Human Services to lead, would be fine. The problem is when you send Cutlow out,
which he shouldn't have been.
Well, I'm not done. When you send all the people out there, what happens is that's conflicting information. When you send,
that's all
I'm not done. When you send Ben Carson on ABC this week, we have a plan to deal with the cruise ships. What's the plan?
Who's a neurosurgeon?
What's the plan? I'm not gonna. So why in the hell you send the damn HUD secretary on ABC this week?
I wouldn't have done it.
Hold on, no. So again, why you sending the HUD secretary, who's a brain surgeon, on ABC this week?
I don't book them.
But that shows you. That shows you the incompetent political people.
Well, that's the PR part.
Here we go. And all I'm proving to you is the political people are screwing it up, and that's why political people move your asses out the way to allow professionals. Final comment, real quick, go.
I'm just going to reiterate, the message should be streamlined. The fact that it's not is a problem. The fact that even in the mayor's case where the state budget is 69% federal, the reason why they can't get the information out is because the federal government doesn't have the information. They don't even have streamlined information in the federal government to disseminate to Mississippi, such that it's a streamlined message of what to do regarding COVID-19.
I'm not sure.
That's a problem. Because the federal government is even splintered on this issue because you had the president.
But I'm not sure if that's why state officials in Mississippi.
Bottom line is, we've already explained what in the hell is going on, and that is the political people like Trump don't know what the hell they're doing, and the medical people are being frustrated because these fools have no idea what they're doing, and they're the ones who are getting in the way. Let the medical people lead, because in a crisis, a medical crisis, that's what you want. If this was a military crisis, you damn sure wouldn't be letting the medical people making decisions.
I agree.
But guess what? That's what you get when you got an ignorant fool like Trump sitting in the Oval Office, who you're going to vote for again.
Absolutely.
All right, y'all, and that shows you right
And
there.
you can have a problem with it.
And all that does is that shows you have no problem. You have no problem voting for incompetence. First of all, last I checked, Mike Bloomberg is not even in the race. Mike Bloomberg's not in the race. All right, y'all want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can use our Square app, Cash app, as well as PayPal. Y'all know we bring the funk. We have conversations other folks don't want to have. We keep it real, keep it black and unapologetic, and we'll always do. And we will call a spade and call a clueless orange person a clueless orange person. We'll have the results tomorrow of the primary vote, folks, tonight in 6 states. We'll let you know who won, who lost, and what is next. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Holla! You want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's YouTube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it.
Hey everybody, this is your man Fred Hammond, and you're watching Roland Martin, my man, Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Essence Atkins, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hey, yo, Peace World, what's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, my name is Brescia Webb, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. Ow. Well, I like a nice filter usually, but we can be unfiltered.
What's going on? This is Tobias Trevelyan. And if you're ready, you are listening to and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
What's up? I'm Lance Gross, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Hi, this is Cheryl Lee Ralph, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, could it be any other way? Really? It's Roland Martin.
You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Hey fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered? The blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play.